Hey, bruh. Yo, you want to reach your goals faster? Well, then you're in the right place. This video is going to be all about reaching your goals at record speed. High performance at high speed. Really, that's what this is all about. And the reason that we're going to be covering this is actually in honor of my brand new program that I just released. It's called the Momentum Method. And that's what it's about. It's about helping you reach your goals faster. I think many of us, we feel like we have all these massive goals. We've got all these ambitions, but we're just getting there way too slow. And often what we find is that as we try to get there faster, we actually screw ourselves over and we overwhelm ourselves, and we get confused and we get overwhelmed and all this kind of stuff. We actually start moving slower. And so this is a course that I developed over my 10 years of being self-employed, of making every mistake in the book and learning how to move and iterate and make progress very, very quickly. So if you're interested in checking out the full version of this, then make sure you click the link below. I think many of you are going to absolutely love it. It's one of my best value programs ever. It's, very, very reasonably priced. And I think that's essential because this is kind of like a foundational building block for any guy who's serious about reaching their potential. So it's also 50% off right now as a launch special, which will only be going on for a couple more days. So please click that link in the description if you want to reach your goals more quickly. Now, if you want to hear more about it, well, then that's really what this video here is about, okay? So let's get down to business. Everyone wants to operate from an abundance mindset, right? You want to be able to move from this place of like having, I've got, all the money I need, I've got all the ability I need and all this kind of stuff. And there's a lot of power to that because if you're coming from this scarcity place, you're going to probably make, poor decisions. You're going to feel shitty. You're going to get locked up and discouraged and all this kind of stuff. But there is one place where we have to be deeply realistic about scarcity. And I think the most important place that we have to acknowledge it is around time. Okay. We live in a world where you can, there's infinite amounts of money, more or less. Okay. There's infinite amounts of opportunity, but there is a very finite amount of time. You have a very finite amount of time. And in many ways, that amount of time to reach success, it's kind of shrinking. Okay. If you take a long time to make $1 million, okay, that $1 million is going to be worth less than if you make it more quickly because of the rate of inflation and that kind of stuff. If you take a really long time to act on that business idea, well, that business idea might not be viable because of the speed of how the business landscape and the technological landscape is changing. Okay. So we got to learn how to move quickly to really get our best results in life. But the problem is most of us are perfectionistic weenies, okay? And I say that as a professor of perfectionistic weenieism. I was like a tongue twister. In my 10 years of working for myself, like I've made all the mistakes in terms of, slowing myself down, getting caught up in indecision, having my focus diluted, and all that kind of stuff. But I've also really, which is great because I learn things best when I screw them up. And then I develop a system and I make ironclad rules and approaches and I lock it down and I teach it to other people and use it myself and iterate on it. And then all of a sudden it's like, I've mastered the thing because I sucked at it. So I sucked at moving fast. Now I'm awesome at moving fast. It used to take me 1.5 years to create a new course. This new course I created in a few days. I used to be able to barely put out one YouTube video a week. Now I put out multiple emails and I could probably do, I'm going to be moving to multiple YouTube videos, probably 2 here soon. And it's just like my capacity to get things done quickly has exponentially increased. And I just, I want to teach you the heart and soul of that, the full fleshed out things in the Momentum Method course that I mentioned earlier. But really, I want to get into the biggest high level pieces in this video. So the big first shift, all right, the big kind of philosophical identity shift, if you want to move quickly, is that you have to move out of perfectionism and into ruggedness. Now, many of you may have heard me speak about this, a while in the past, but let's reiterate this because this is very, very important. All right. Perfectionism is not a good thing. Many people think that it's a good thing. It's not. Okay. Perfectionism is essentially an excuse for a kind of escapism. There's 2 kinds of escapism that can come from perfectionism. One is just outright avoidance. If you're being perfectionistic about your work, about your progress and that sort of thing, you're just thinking that, all right, I got to jump to this ideal end result. It has to be perfect. I got to get there. Otherwise, I don't want to do it. And so what ends up happening is that pressure and the impossibility in many cases of that task leads people to not even get started, right? So if people are unwilling to like get into that state, that messy state of becoming, but not quite there, then they're not going to even get anything done. They're just going to run away from it. This is the guy who's like worried, I'm not going to do good on the test, so he doesn't study at all. Okay. But then you've got the flip side of it, the other kind of escapism, which I think is actually even more prevalent for ambitious guys. And this is the ambition of trying to do it all at once. It's like instead of being able to reasonably, focusedly move toward their goals, they think, all right, I have to get to that goal yesterday. I have to like do it all at once. I cannot be stuck in a prolonged state of becoming. I have to have already became, because they're insecure. Fundamentally, that's what perfectionism is. It's an insecurity. And so we solve this by embracing that mess of realizing that, okay, well, actually, this life itself is a process of becoming. There's no way to skip out on that. Like, I need to be able to get down in the muck, get dirty. That's what it means to be rugged. It means willing to embrace the mess of legitimate progress. Okay, so once you embrace this mentality of ruggedness, you decide that you're going to become a rugged man of action and momentum. Right? That means that you're willing to be in the process of becoming and that you are still good in that process of becoming. Then we can get into the strategy and the tactic. Okay, so I'm going to talk at a high level about what the main strategy is for moving quickly, and then we're going to talk about the secret tactic. All right, that's kind of really the secret sauce here that brings it all together. So the strategy, what is this? Well, the problem that perfectionism essentially breeds, if we're going to break it down, is being slow to decide, ship, and improve. Okay. That's what happens is like if you're being perfectionistic, you're slowing yourself down like that, you're slow to decide, ship, and improve. So like the perfectionistic guy, he's going to hem and haw over every single detail. All right. He's not going to like launch something. He's going to be the guy who like holds away and like needs to gather more information. He needs to think about it more, and he just doesn't ever get it out. And if he does get it out, he doesn't look at it. It's the guy who like puts out the his content, or he puts out that sales letter, or he tries that new diet or whatever it is. He puts it out there, and then he doesn't really follow up. He doesn't like really analyze it. Am I getting better? Is it is there ways to improve this? He's kind of just like throws it out there, and then he like turns away, and and it doesn't get better, right? So we have to speed up this loop of iteration, right? You have to be quickly deciding, quickly shipping, quickly iterating. And this is something that I learned really in my background in software engineering. For those of you who don't know, I went to college for software engineering, and that was my first job and everything. And in it, we learned like agile software development, Scrum, and all that kind of stuff for those of you who are familiar with that sort of thing. And the idea is that you need to put out an MVP. You need to put out something that's good enough, that hits your general objectives. It's not going to be perfect, but we get something so that we can start getting feedback and we can start iterating on it, right? And so this is something that really lines up with Dan Sullivan's quote that 80 is better than 100. All right, and what this means is that you want to get to 80% on something. You want to get something to 80% of the way there, because that's something you can do pretty quickly, right? If you're familiar with the 80-20 principle, it's like you can hit that 80% with just 20% of the effort. So you get that core out with whatever it is. Maybe it's a workout plan, maybe it's a business plan, maybe it's a dating plan. Whatever it is, you get that 80% thing done, and then you iterate, all right? And that's all you got to do. So it's like learning how to scale things back, reduce your ambition, get something out, and then get something out better. Okay? Right? That's pretty simple. But when it gets down into the details, the actual practical implementation, this is where guys really start getting tripped up. Okay? So this is like let me show you one of the main ways, okay? Is that guys opt for this uncertainty. They focus on what's uncertain. All right. And they get lost in this. I'll do this a lot with content because I like to explore new things and ambitious things. I like to try out new big concepts, and I'll be like, maybe I'll make a course on this. And that's actually what the first version of this momentum method course was. It was this really big, ambitious project. And I just got lost in it because I wasn't 100% certain what I was doing. Right. And because of that, I wasted a bunch of time. And I had to remind myself of like literally these rules. And it's like, okay, let's reduce scope and focus on what we're certain of. And it's like, well, I'm certain I know how to move quick. And I was like, well, let's just document that. Okay. And so like another example of this would be the guy who's like really focused on finding his dream career. And he doesn't know exactly what that dream career is, or he does, but he doesn't know exactly how to get there. And so he just hems and haws over this. He's like trying to find out, all right, how do I get this 100% perfect career? How do I get this 100% like perfect path to the career, whatever? And he gets stuck and he doesn't ever end up taking action. It's like, all right, well, what if we're just getting closer to that career? What if we're just getting closer? That's it. What if we were just focusing on directional improvement? What if we were just 80% better? And a lot of times there's super obvious, clear things that you can do that will lead to certain directional advancement. And the thing is, as you advance, you get more clarity and more vision, and then you can make the next step and the next step, right? It's like guys will opt for like the optimizer mindset is so destructive in many ways because you got this guy who's planning out a trip, and this is just a metaphor, but you got a guy he's plotting his course through life, and he is trying to get there in the most optimized way possible. He kind of has the rough idea where he wants to end up. He wants to be, jacked. He wants to be rich. He wants to be getting laid with all the hot chicks or whatever. Okay. He's like, all right, I want to go there. And he's trying to plot out this perfect path. And he keeps spending all this time in Google Maps, like, analyzing traffic patterns and, thinking about like, oh, well, maybe I should go this route or that route, blah, blah, blah. And he either never gets there because he just never leaves that planning stage, or he starts to go there and he's just driving 50 miles over the speed limit, and he either crashes, i.e. he gets, burnt out, or he blows a tire out. Okay. And that would be an example of someone who's, trying to do too much at once, and, they make poor decisions. Their work is shoddy, all that kind of stuff. And it just doesn't work out. Okay. And so what we got to learn how to do is just reduce scope, move certainly, move confidently. And guess what? Things are going to get better. And it's like you just learn how to do more reps, more iterative reps. It's like instead of trying to make 10, instead of like if you want to get better at foul shots, instead of doing 10 foul shots a week and making each foul shot super high intensity pressure, it's like you're sitting there practicing and you hire people to put pressure on you and to scream at you while you're trying to practice your foul shot because you only do 10 a week. It's like that guy versus the guy who just shoots 1,000 foul shots a week. Who do you think is going to actually get better at foul shots? It's going to be the guy who does more reps. And so this iterative mindset of, scaling things down, getting more focused, doing less, but doing it better, and then running repetitions, that's like the heart of really moving forward. Okay. Now in the course, I break this down. I give you exact rules and formulas for how to go through this. But the big piece I want to get to next, all right, is this piece about what's going on at the core of you. Because many of us, I think we know theoretically, all right, we gotta move quicker. We can't be perfectionistic, all that kind of stuff. But we still get stuck. And I would say the main reason that we get stuck is because we don't know how to make the decisions. We don't know how to scale things back. We don't know what to focus on. Because if you're going to be focusing, if you're going to be reducing your scope, well, you got to decide, all right, well, I'm not going to be doing this thing. I'm not going to be doing that thing. I'm going to be doing this thing, and I'm going to be doing it in this way, right? You need to really zone things in. One of the other reasons why guys try to do everything at once is because in many ways it feels easier because they don't need to decide. And making these kind of decisions is very, very difficult because as we go to try to make them, we experience something that I would describe as dissonance. There is a feeling of disagreeability that comes up inside of them emotionally. And this dissonance, this is like the big block, okay? Because as soon as you feel this emotional, resistant kind of sensation, this is like the momentum stopper. So if you really want to move fast in life, you have to learn how to generate resonance. Resonance is that feeling that you get when you have your intellect and your instinct aligned. So what does that mean? It means that rationally, you have a path that sounds logically sound. It sounds logically correct. It feels logically correct. It's like, okay, well, all right, we're going to take this path to this goal that we want. It's like, okay, does this path work? Yeah, it does. Ding, that feels good. But then emotionally, you want to walk it. So resonance is the intersect between this rational truth and then emotional alignment. And if you can get both of those together, then what you have is a good path that you want to walk. And if you can generate resonance like this, then you can move extremely quickly. Just think about it. I mean, it's like, it's not hard to do things that you want to do, obviously, but it's even easier to do things you want to do if they are leading you towards your goals. They are generating a sense of dopamine and accomplishment and serotonin from, status acquisition and all this kind of stuff. If you can operate from a place of resonance, it's like a compounding effect where you become stronger, more and more and more motivated. Okay. But this is not so easy to pull off. Most of us, we are not in a state of resonance when it comes to our life path. We are very lopsided. We're either too much intellect or we're too much instinct. So too much intellect, this is the optimizer. Okay, this is the guy who tries to treat ourselves like a robot. He tries to treat ourselves and program ourselves like a robot. He tries to think that, okay, here is the most efficient way to my goal. I'm going to look at these experts and look at all the biohacking experts, and I'm going to look at, going to time block my calendar down to the micro minute and everything like that. And it's like, clearly, this is the most optimized path to my goal. And then they don't do it at all because emotionally, eventually their emotional mind's just like, nah, not going to do that. And they don't know how to deal with it because it's like, well, logically speaking, this is the best way to do it. And then their emotional mind's still just like, get out of here. And then it just kicks them out, it grabs the wheel, and it pulls over to Dairy Queen and gets ice cream. Okay. It's like, that's what ends up happening to most of us. And the people who can force themselves into this optimized mindset, well, they end up repressing their emotions, which ultimately ends up killing their motivation eventually anyway. Or if it doesn't, then, chances are they end up not even being happy with where they're at. Even if they are becoming successful, they're kind of just dead inside because they killed their emotions in order to become successful. And so it's a whole big thing. We don't want to do that. We don't want to squash our instincts by trying to become supremely logical. Okay. People who try to do that, they always end up, nerds or assholes, or just, generally ineffective. So don't recommend that route. But obviously we can't be purely instinctual. We can't just be eating McDonald's all day and watching porn. We can't just be following what is immediately emotionally pleasurable. Okay? That should go without saying. So what do we got to do? Well, we have to create a methodology to continuously find this resonant path forward, this one that is logically sound and emotionally compelling. And so how do we do that? Well, we have to make sure that these parts of ourselves are in the right positions. You see, most of us, we think that we got to become more logical. And so we think that our logical self has to be in the driver's seat. That is wrong. Generally, that is ineffective. All right? It just leads to that optimizer scenario. Really, what we want to do is we want to have our instinct be the big shot. Okay. You want that to be the master because most of the big decisions in life, there is no logical best answer. All right. You can't come to the answer purely on logic alone. And so that's going to slow you down. And so the only way you're going to be able to really find your path is trusting your gut, trusting your feelings. What do you want? Right. That's all instinctual. That's all limbic system there. And so we have to put the limbic system in the driver's seat. But it's not an unbounded, dominant, complete, control. The first mate is your intellect. And so the first mate, its job is to produce options and run simulations. So you let your emotional mind, your rational mind constantly present options. Just create a list of options. That's it. It's reading out the menu of the universe. It's saying, okay, so in this situation, we could do this, 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 and this. And, the outcomes for each of these things are this, 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 and this. And then all you do is pick which one sounds the best. Which one sounds good? Which one sounds fun? Emotionally, pick intuitively. Okay. And if you can learn how to do this with everything, what ends up happening is that you gain the capacity to plot a path forward that is highly compelling, highly effective, and one that's going to lead to massive momentum. And it's this process of working with yourself, of getting these, like your instinct and intellect working with each other. I call this interfacing. And this is at the heart of the momentum method, and it's at the heart of everything that I'm going to be doing moving forward. Okay? Because this interfacing process between these two parts of yourself is the key to everything. This is literally what I've learned and seen in the most excruciating detail in coaching men over the past 10 years, is that if these two pieces are not lined up, then it's not going to work. All right. It's like I can already tell when a guy gives me a commitment in a coaching call if he's going to do it or not by the tone of his voice, because I can tell the way he says it if he's talking purely emotionally or rationally or in alignment. Okay, if he's got resonance there. And I can ask him every single time. It's like I hear something like if he's just super gusto, gung-ho, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, we're in the right direction. But then I ask him rationally, do you think this is going to work out? What about this, this, and this thing? And then all of a sudden they deflate because they bring their rationality into it, and that plan's not going to work. Or you got the guy who's like, yeah, I'm absolutely going to do. I have to do this. This is what I should be doing. This is it. And I'm like, okay, that sounds very, logically sound, but emotionally you don't sound into that at all. That sounds like an obligation. And I asked him about that. I was like, how emotionally, compelled are you by this? And they're like, oh, I don't know, 3 out of 10. It's like, he's not going to follow through with that commitment. It doesn't happen. Right. And if he does, it's not going to be in a sustainable way. So learning how to get these parts lined up and then apply it into a framework of rapid iteration, that's your key to speed. That's your key to success. And so in the momentum method, this course, I break all this stuff down in even greater detail. I give you a bunch of exercises to do because frankly, I don't think there is any framework out there that can pay higher dividends than this, because it's going to let you do everything else just way faster. And the faster you compound your gains, it's just insane. It's like, okay. And we all know the thing about if you take a penny and you double it each month or whatever, or each day, it'll be worth a shitload of money by the end of a month or something like that. Well, what if instead of doubling that penny, you tripled the pennies? It's even more insane. It's like, that's what this stuff is. This is this meta strategy that sits at the heart of personal development that if you get it down, then everything else compounds exponentially more quickly. So, and to be clear, this isn't just about doing bad work and, just grinding stuff out and having it be shitty or anything like that. It's this will actually improve the quality of your work. It'll actually be way less stressful if you apply the mindsets and them and everything like that. And it's more fun. It's more fun moving fast. It is, and frankly, it makes more money too. I've heard many rich people say that money is attracted to speed, and that does seem to be the truth. But it's got to be a controlled speed. It's got to be a line speed. It's got to be resonant. And so, yeah, my friends, I'm excited to get this out to you. I'm going to have a lot of stuff here coming out soon. We're going to be shifting directions in how we do things here at the Self-Mastery Club and here on this channel. And I'm very excited to be along for it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's been a little while since you've had a solo one of me, but there's probably going to be more of this coming soon. So, ooh-yah, my friends, I will see you all in the next one. Peace.